right now here, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to say good morning to all the students that are tuned in. I want to welcome you all to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My name is Jerry Shock, and I oversee all the youth and educational programs here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And like I said, I know we're getting started a few minutes late, so that just means, like I said, we'll cut my remarks short, and because you guys didn't come here to talk to me anyway, so it's not a big deal. But I did want to set up the real premise and idea behind this program, because I know we have a lot of new schools to this program. And the real idea of Hardo Hall of Famers to convey exactly what it took to get in the Hall of Fame beyond just the athletic ability. And we know, like Mr. Campbell, they're amazing examples of athleticism and skill and talent. But it obviously took a lot more than that to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It took those 6 pillars that you guys are studying, here for today's program, to ask Mr. Campbell those types of questions, studying the pillars of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. And as you guys, it's not really a secret, but I'll let you in on a secret, that these aren't character qualities of being a great football player. These are great character qualities to be a Hall of Famer in everyday life, whether it's in your classroom, whether it's at home with your siblings and your parents and your families, whether it's at your local youth groups, so YMCA's, church groups, whoever you're involved with. These are character qualities that are going to allow you to achieve excellence, so to speak, in any endeavor that you do in life. So there's a number of folks. I got to rattle through them real quick, because there's a number of folks that made this possible before we asked Mr. Campbell to share a couple minutes of some opening remarks and then go to the questions from the students that are tuned in from all across the country. Region 13, first of all, that is hosting Mr. Campbell, Carol Tatelman and Ken Baker and some of the other folks that are there. Thank you very much for opening your doors to us today, and to Mr. Campbell to allow us to utilize your video conferencing studios. It's not possible without you guys. I do know our friends at Interisys Networks there. Dane Felician is there, so thank you, Dane, for helping to facilitate this and be there as well if there's any issues and format issues and things like that. ETech Ohio, through our State Department of Education, who's bridging all these connections in here today, so all the schools can see and hear Mr. Campbell, and Mr. Campbell can see and hear the schools as well. So thank you through our State Department of Education. Thank you to the teachers, and obviously thank you to the students, because you're the real stars of the show here today. You're the ones that are going to drive the program and ask the questions that drive the program here today. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is get to the introduction of Mr. Campbell. And some of you have probably already done, many of you have probably already done the research, because I've seen some of the questions that you've submitted, so you have done the research. But you know that Mr. Campbell is one of the most prolific running backs to ever play college or professional football. Graduating from the University of Texas in 1977 after winning the Heisman Trophy, he was the #1 draft pick by the Houston Oilers. Now get this, his rookie season was voted Rookie of the Year, as well as Most Valuable Player in his first year in the NFL, and he went on to be MVP actually the first 3 years as well. By the end of his professional football career, he amassed 9,407 yards rushing, 806 yards receiving, 74 total touchdowns, and over 10,000 total yards. Since retiring from football, Mr. Campbell is now a prominent businessman in Austin, Texas. So what you'll find, Mr. Campbell is another example of our Hall of Famers that has not only achieved greatness on the field, but obviously have achieved just as much, if not more, off the field. And he's no different. He still actively participates in the University of Texas Athletics. Mr. Campbell currently serves as president of Earl Campbell Meat Products Incorporated, which proudly manufactures and sells Mr. Campbell's smoked sausage and other wonderful food products, as well as barbecue sauce. So with that being said, I want all the schools, if you can just for a moment, unmute your microphones and join me in giving a warm round of applause to Pro Football Hall of Famer, Mr. Earl Campbell.
Mr. Campbell.
Go ahead and mute your microphones there.
All right, then. Steve Maloney going out.
Okay, and just an FYI, Pittsford, please keep your students under control there. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. We can disconnect you guys from the program. But let's go ahead, Mr. Campbell, or students, I should say student. I'm sorry, I don't want to generalize the rest of the population there. So thank you very much. So Mr. Campbell, the microphone is yours.
Hey, I would like to say it's a pleasure to be with you all this morning from Austin, Texas, and I would like to say that it's a pleasure And thanks to my son Christian, who's sitting on the side of me, that in the Hall of Fame, who asked me to do this. I feel very honored, and it's nice to be able to speak to you all. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to get things going with some questions from the students. We're going to go in the order of the interactive schools that are tuning in, and I'm going to go ahead and list those off so all the schools can recognize who is connected. We're going to go in the order of Seguin ISD, who I believe is connected. HG Isbell Junior High, McGregor ISD. We're going to go Forest Hills. Did you get connected, Forest Hills?
Yes, Jerry, we're here.
Okay, good. So Forest Hills, you did get connected. Awesome, Kim. Thank you very much. So we'll
You're
go
welcome.
Forest Hills next, in Sidman, Pennsylvania, Lake Catholic High School in Mentor, Ohio, Cuyahoga Valley Career Center in Brecksville, Ohio, and then the Art Academy at Summit Academy in Canton, Ohio. So those are the interactive schools, but also tuning in as view-only schools that we have connected here today. We have John Marshall in Cleveland, Ohio. We have Lavernia High School in Lavernia, Texas. We have Poteet High School in Poteet, Texas. I'm getting a theme here. We got a lot of Texas schools. I'm not sure why. Lytle High School in Lytle, Texas. Spotsylvania Middle School in Spotsylvania, Texas. Alvarado High School in Alvarado, Texas. Coosa Valley Service Center in Anniston, Alabama. And Pittsburgh Central School District in Rochester, New York, as well as Menora Park in Beechwood, Ohio. So thank you to all the schools that are tuning in as view only, and we'll just remind you, please keep your microphones muted throughout the program as you are already doing. So with that being said, we're going to start with Seguin. You can start the program with the first question for Mr. Campbell.
Hi, Mr. Campbell. My name is Julio Navarro. I'm in eighth grade. My position is cornerback and inside wide receiver. And my question to you is, what is the greatest moment that you ever had when you were a football player?
I believe the greatest moment was, you talking about on the field or off the field or both? I think the greatest moment on the field was we was playing the Atlanta Falcons, and it was my rookie year, the very first game. And you would have to experience this being a rookie. Even some of your teammates doubt what you can do, but Dan Pastorini, who was our quarterback, threw me a pass. It was supposed to be a screen, but I didn't go behind the line of scrimmage, so they made it a forward lateral. That was the day, my very first touchdown in Atlanta, when my teammates was really accepted my ability, because before that, I wasn't a very good practice guy as a running back. So after they saw me run that touchdown, they said, now we have us a running back for the Houston Oilers.
Great. Thank you very much, Seguin, for the start in the program. Let's go to McGregor ISD, H.G. Isbell Junior High in Waco, Texas. If you have a question, go ahead.
Hello. What advice or words of wisdom would you give to aspiring young athletes that wish to pursue athletics in college?
Well, I tell our athletes here at the university, and I'm happy that you asked that question, because I try to convince young people every time I have the opportunity to speak like this morning to a group of students like you all, that athletics is a very important part of our life for those of us that wants to be involved in it. But at the same time, you are a student athlete first. And I try to tell them to remember that, because being a student athlete doesn't mean that you can just come to a university and play, or even as young as you all are in school now, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade or whatever. You should take education very seriously. I have 6 brothers and 4 sisters. And I was the very first one in my family. My oldest brother is 65 years old, so I'm not the oldest one. But I was the very first one that in my family to go to a major university, not only and graduate. And I would like to encourage students your age to understand that sports is very important. But being a student athlete, you also should remember student athlete, because getting an education is very important. It takes a lot of hard work to do both of them. I must explain that to you. A lot of hard work is if I had to say anything about my career, I would have to say that thank God because of His blessings and He gave me that talent. I was able to. I didn't. I don't think suspect my goals because I always wanted to be different from every other athlete. So being different made me wanting to get an education even more because I wanted my mother to see that, and because I lost my father at a young age, I wanted my family to see that there was more there to Earl Campbell than just being a football player. I wanted to get an education. So you have to want to be different because it takes a lot in life to just do something, but it takes a lot to achieve other things as well.
Thank you very much there, H.G. as well. Let's go to our friends in Sidman, Pennsylvania. So from Texas to PA, I think two pretty big football states, so it's fitting. Sidman, PA, go ahead, Forest Hills.
Mr. Campbell, after researching your career and life after football, it is obvious that God and family are so very important to you. What or who was your biggest inspiration in life and why?
I believe that my father died when I was in the 5th grade, so my mother raised 7 boys and 4 girls, and I do believe that was my hero, my mother, because she stuck by us and she stood there till we only lost her about 5 years ago. But she raised all 7 boys and 4 girls thanks to her and the good Lord. And I wanted to do some very special things for my mother, and the way to do that was because I was an athlete with an education. And I just never let no one distract me, even when I was as young as you are. Believe it or not, I used to be 14, 15 years old. And I just worked. I just believed in my mother raised us to stay involved in the church, to do hard work and work for what we want. I can hear her voice always right now that if you don't work, you don't get. If you don't be successful, it's your fault. And when I got my break to come to the university, because when I was 13 years old, I knew that God had given me something special that He didn't give Johnny down the street. And I had that talent to be an athlete. My oldest brother was a football player. I wanted to be, except I had one thing installed in my heart and in my mind, that I wanted to be the best. And being the best costs something. It costs a lot to do nothing in life, but it costs a whole lot to be something. And that's what I try to tell people all the time, that to be something takes a lot of hard work. To be nothing takes a lot of hard work. And once you accept the fact that that's what you want, and that's what I wanted to be mentioned with the Joe Greens, the Jim Browns, and Gail Sayers. I wanted Walter Payton. I wanted my name when they talk about that one day to talk about Earl Campbell. And thank God that happened because I put in a lot of hard work at doing it.
And I love that quote. That's students. That's just something for you guys to put in your classrooms. You don't work, you don't get. You don't work, you don't get. That's just something to live by in life and everything that we do. So, thank you very much, Forest Hills, for the great question. Let's go to, I'd say another pretty big football state. I think here in Ohio. Let's go to Lake Catholic High School.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Ashley. I'm in 9th grade at Lake Catholic. And my question for you is, who and what motivated you when you were growing up?
I had a coach when I was in the 9th grade, and his name was Butch LaGuire. And he was French, and he was from New Orleans. Well, when I was in the 9th grade, that's when I entered integration. And Coach LaGuire was my 9th grade coach, as I said, and that was from the time I was in the 5th grade to the 9th grade, that was my second time experiencing having a father by my side because, as I said, my father died when I was in the 5th grade. And Coach LaGuire who was the ninth grade coach, just took me under his arms and started telling me the things I could and I could not do. And he just took me in. I used to ride with him home. I have two brothers that are twins, and they're a year younger than I am, and they play football as well. So it'd be like 3 or 4 guys in the car with him, and he would take us to this corner after school. And we lived in the country, and I got bused like 20-some miles to school every day. But we kept telling our mother that we missed the school bus and all this. She did not want us to play football. So after a while, she found out, but Coach LaGuardia was my inspiration, and he was the man I looked up to. And when I got in high school, I had some problems in high school with getting along and being disciplined. So the high school coach brought Coach LaGuardia over to the high school, and that started another relationship with him and I. And anytime they had problems with Earl, because I wasn't really that bad of a guy, I just did a little bit. They would sit Coach LaGuardia on me, but that was my hero, and he pushed me to do better and better. And one of the most grateful things I am proud of in my life is that when I was playing in Houston, Coach LaGuardia had some friends that lived in Houston, and one of them coached for the University of Houston. One of the greatest moments of my life was he had a chance. I was single at that time, my rookie year. He was grateful to come and stay at my house with me, and it was me and him one-on-one. And he was talking about, did you ever think you would get here? And I said, yeah. He said, do you remember what I told you about you could do this and all that? So that was my hero. That was my man, having him to come stay with me and spend that time with me. And I don't know, when you're young, you start, even like you are now, you getting someone older than you take you under your arms, and they kind of nurse you all through everything. But Coach LaGuardia was my man, and I was proud that he had a chance to stay with me and be with me.
And students, I think that's just a lesson learned for you guys. Is it, it's for lack of a better word, it's funny that in athletics, as athletes, you if you have trouble in a certain area, whether you're a baseball, basketball, football player, you have no problem going to your coach and say, hey, I'm struggling with my free throw shooting. Let's work on it. Okay, we're going to go shoot 100 free throws after every practice. Or I need to work on my foot speed. What can I do? I need to work on my strength. We have no problem going to those people with that. But when it comes to personal things or education, we're struggling in a class, we all of a sudden don't want to reach out to people because it's considered, uncool, or people are going to laugh at me or whatever it might be. So it's just an example of there are people in your lives, whether it's coaches, whether it's teachers, whether it's youth organization leaders, whether it's a pastor, whoever it might be, that are there to help you guys in life because they've been there before. So this is a great example.
That's right, and it takes a lot to. And I can imagine you as you all that are listening, the young men and young women, that it takes a lot to make it in this life. And we as parents, grandparents, if you would just stop to think for 1 second or 5 minutes, what did mom and dad do for me to get me to this point this morning? I mean, what happened in my life for them to go out of the way to go to work or get up early, cook breakfast? And as parents, we expect a lot out of our children. And I told you that I have 2 sons, and they're now 27 and 30 years old. But I can remember that in my business that I do every day and all the things I do, I wasn't able to be with my boys on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sure at night when we would be home and after school. So I made up in my mind that what I'm going to do is, no matter what, all business stop, and on Friday after about lunchtime, and no matter where I am in this country, I'm going to set up a deal to where it's just my boys and I, not their mother, who's been my wife since the 9th grade. We started dating in the 9th grade, so my 3rd year in pro ball, we got married. But I set aside that Friday night just to be with my boys and myself. Mom couldn't go. It was the boys and I had a date every Friday night. And those are the things that we as parents that take time out for our children. And I know the kids probably have heard this a million times that we as parents know that you all sitting here listening today is our America for tomorrow. And everybody can't be an exception an athlete. That's why there are nurses, that's why there are secretaries, that's why there are teachers, and that's why there are professional businessmen. Because we need nurses. You all are listening. Somebody there sitting is listening now in Pennsylvania, Seguin, Texas, going to end up being a great nurse, a great doctor. Who knows? We may be sitting next to a president.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Lake Catholic. We're going to go to Brecksville, Ohio, Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. Okay, we'll come back to them later. Art Academy in Canton, Ohio, here in Canton.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm in the 7th grade. And my question is, do you feel that the NFL players today are made of the same stuff as the players you played with?
I beg your pardon. That's
a good one. Go ahead, repeat the question.
Ask it again.
Oh. Do you feel that the NFL players today are made of the same stuff as the players you played with?
Well, you know, the thing about athletes, you know, we think that our generation was the best. And I have to say that I think football is a lot easier now compared to when I played football a few years ago. I think the guys some of them doesn't put in the right amount of time to be the best at their positions. I think, and it was like some guys was like that when I played, but all these injuries I see, I believe that a lot of this coming from because the guys doesn't pay attention and work as hard as guys did when I played. I would tell you a little story. I never will forget this as long as I live because it was an anniversary. There was another Hall of Famer named Charlie Joyner who he played with the San Diego Chargers at that time. So he had a house in Houston, his hometown, and every off season he would come to stay there. So I hooked up with him after the first Pro Bowl, and he was telling me, "You like that? You like being MVP and all that?" I said, "Yeah, I like that stuff, man. That was great." He says, "If you work out with me, I'll show you how to try to be better in our season." So we have been working out, probably started in April in the off season, and my wife and I anniversary was March 20th or something. I can't remember those days, but she says, "Gee, you're not going to work out today. It's our anniversary." I said, "No, I promised Charlie I would work out with him." So we would meet at 7 in the morning. We would meet at 11:30, and we would meet at 5 in the afternoon. She says, "It's our anniversary." I said, "Yeah, I know, but I'll be there for dinner." So Charlie and I had an appointment at 7 in the morning, 11, and then 5 that afternoon. She said, "It makes no sense for somebody to be working out that much." I said, "I got to be better." I didn't want that guy in Dallas, which was named Tony Dorsett, to outdo me. That guy in California named Eric Dickerson to outdo me. And that guy in Chicago named Walter Payton to outdo me. I figured in my own mind they was working and I was not. So to please myself, Charlie and I had a date to where we would work out those 3 times a day. So I just don't believe the guys today work as hard, some of them as, and I think that's why there's a lot of injuries. Because when we went to training camp, we did it twice a day. Some days they work out, some days they go out for lunch instead of working out.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to Seguin. Go ahead, Seguin.
My name is Zach Littlefield. My question is, how did you feel being in the Hall of Fame?
I believe this, Zach, is when I was playing pro football, I never really noticed a lot about what was, sure I wanted to be MVP, sure I wanted to be the best, and I was working towards that, and I played with some guys that on my football team when I got to Houston was great guys because they let me go ahead on and be first because I let them realize that, hey, when I do this and we do this together, we make this touchdown, it's not about me, it's about us, our team. And they knew that I was going to share with them. I was going to mention their name that, oh, it's not that hard to run a football. It just, my offensive lineman did good. I can remember reporters talking to me, and I would always bust out in a country western song. They said, Campbell, we don't want to do no interview with you because you want to talk that country western. Because I wanted to shift the blame off, the fame off of me onto my teammates because it was about us, not just me. Well, when it came time for the Hall of Fame, I would ask some teammates, hey, you think I'm going to make it? They said, oh, yeah, man, you don't have nothing to worry about. You was one of the best. But there is, if you can picture in your mind being president of the United States, that's what it means to be in the Hall of Fame because you can't go any higher. I mean, once you get in the Hall of Fame, that's the ultimate deal. That's it for you. And I couldn't believe that a guy from Tyler, Texas, raised by a mother, 6 brothers and 4 sisters, made it to the Hall of Fame. And that is a proud thing because when you win the Heisman Trophy, see your name change from Earl Campbell. It goes like this: the University of Texas Heisman Trophy winner for 1977 is Earl Campbell. And when you get in the Hall of Fame, it goes Hall of Famer Earl Campbell. So your name is always last, right? So there's nothing like being in the Hall of Fame. I mean, when you sign your name on an autograph, everybody says, hey, put H-O-F. For a long time, I said, H-O-F. It was hard to sign instead of just writing the whole name out of Hall of Famer, but it's a great honor to be in the Hall of Fame. And you get to, the people in Canton, Ohio is unbelievable. They, when you leave the Hall of Fame every year, your wife or who you go with up to the Hall of Fame has to remind you when you come back, you're not at the Hall of Fame no more. Go get that yourself. Because the people in Canton, Ohio throws a great party for 1 week. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to want for anything. They go get it for you. So it's a great honor being a Hall of Famer. And I wouldn't be sitting here this morning if I wasn't in the Hall of Fame, but it's a lot of people involved in that. We had a great leader, our coach, Bum Phillips, the offensive lineman. You represent your whole team because that's how you got in the Hall of Fame.
Well, you got me smiling here, Mr. Campbell, so thank you very much. My apologies to anyone around you that had to go get stuff for you for the first couple of days after you came back from Canton. So, but then we'll go to H.G. Isbell, junior high.
My name is Ronald Pierce, and what is your most memorable game?
I try my best to remember playing against Miami. I think it was my second year in pro football, and Howard Cosell, who was the announcer on Monday night, Danny Don Meredith, and we was playing the Miami Dolphins in the Astrodome. And I don't know, when I played football, I never did really get into the fans because I was always thinking about this and that on the field. So that night, for some reason, thank God, number 34, which was my number, had been called on the lot. And I was able to score 4 touchdowns in that game. I don't remember the first 3 because Bum Phillips never let us watch the films. But I do remember the last play, which won the game for us. And my fullback, Tim Wilson, number 45, was telling me in the huddle, the defensive back is shooting up the field. I'm going to try to hook him. Well, he tried to hook the guy, and the guy shot upfield, and he barely got a tip of my left foot. And I hit that corner. We only needed 3 yards. They said get 3 yards and run out of bounds. But when I hit the corner, I saw that no one was there. So that night turned into 199 yards. on Monday Night Football, and Howard Cosell made it bigger than Dallas. I mean, it's just a big game, and that game changed my life. I have been now begin to mention with my name with Walter Payton, the great running backs, Jim Brown, and Jim Brown was at the game that night. So I knew in my heart if I didn't do the best, Jim Brown was going to talk about me. But I think that game right there started why I'm sitting here today as a Hall of Famer. And it changed my life for the best.
And I think something the students to realize is that since the NFL started in 1920, you've heard, we've been talking a little bit about Mr. Campbell's Hall of Fame status, obviously. To give you an idea of how big of an honor it is to be enshrined here in Canton, Ohio, is since 1920, since the NFL started here in Canton, Ohio in 1920, there have been about 25,000 players that have played in the National Football League. There are only 280 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And out of those 280, it's only about 240, I think 242 or 43 that are actually players. The other 35, 40 or so are coaches and contributors. So you are talking, it isn't the Hall of Very, Very Good or even the Hall of Great, it's the Hall of Fame. So there's some great players that may never get into the Hall of Fame. So you're talking to an elite, as he said, the top. I mean, it's the pinnacle of success for an individual player to be enshrined in Canton, Ohio. Let's go to Pennsylvania, Sidman, PA.
Mr. Campbell, my name is Carly. And my question is, what got you pumped up before a game, and did you have any superstitions or routines before going onto the field?
I'm basically kind of a quiet guy. I think what would happen would be during the week, like Tuesday, because we was off on Monday after a football game. So I would start making preparation on Tuesday, and then the closer you get to the game, you don't really practice that much like on Saturdays. And I would study just like you all have to do, because see, there's more to a football game than just going and play. Everybody got an assignment that they got to do, and hopefully when the game started, it all come together. So I would basically pray before the game. I knew I had prepared myself for the week, and I just basically go out there and play. I don't know if that got me pumped up, but that's the way I did it. I wasn't a rah-rah guy. I was kind of a quiet guy. I wasn't the one to do all the talking before the game and all that. I just go play. I prepared myself like you have to prepare yourself for a test tomorrow or next week. That's how I do it doing Tuesday to Sunday. Is getting myself prepared and studying, looking at films and knowing what this block does on this 28 lead, 25 lead, and all that.
And that's what we've always shared with students too. A lot of students out there want to be a pro athlete in whatever sport, but if you show them what goes on Tuesday through Saturday, they might reconsider. They don't realize the work that goes in, the studying, the prep, and all those things.
It's a lot of hard work goes into. It's like taking a test that your teacher tell you, okay, Thursday we're going to have a test. Today is Monday or 2 weeks from now. You have to study to get ready for that test. And if people seen you get a book every week about that thick, the plays that may be run as a running back, and they don't have time to say time out. When that quarterback says 42, you got to say in your mind, 42, like real quick, because everything happens so fast. So you took the test during the week, and when he calls that audible or whatever, you got to switch your brain to say, gee, 42, that's to the left. No, I got to get there. I got to, and hopefully that guard, the tackle got there and everything. So it's a lot of studying going on in pro football. I'm afraid that in football in general, it's a lot of studying, but the higher you go, and the ultimate deal is pro football. I think if a lot of people seen what really goes on, they would say, no, I don't think I want to play this, because you got a quick on and you got a quick off, and it's a lot of decisions being made.
Most definitely. Let's go to Lake Central, or Lake Catholic, Mentor, Ohio.
Hi, Mr. Campbell. My name is Ryan. I'm a ninth grader here at Lake Catholic. And my question for you is, how did your responsibilities change from college when you came into the NFL?
Well, when you're in college, it's somebody, you know, you have a roommate in a dorm with you in college, and when you get in pro football, you're really on your own. You know, nobody's there to say, "Hey, Earl, it's 11:30. It's 9:30. Remember, Bum gonna get up at 9:30 and start giving his speech." That was our head coach, Bum Phillips. So everything is on your clock. You got to be able to say, "I got to be here," because they don't. Your buddies, a lot of guys in pro football is trying to get your job, so they don't say, "Hey, let's go get Earl because he's late." It doesn't work like that. You just got to flip it on and flip it off. You got to know the responsibility. And remember that book I was telling everybody about that thick that you get every week? No one's tell you, "Hey, keep that book, go get that book." You got to just have that book. And if you blow a play, that's when it starts getting bad, because they got figuring out a way to get you out of here because you're not studying, you're not prepared for the exam you're taking on the football field. So you got to have a lot of responsibilities.
And if I can interject a question, we actually are streaming this program live via live stream, and I've got an open chat room here that those folks are texting in questions and stuff. One I thought was interesting that ties into, since you're talking about studying. A question comes from Carol. What courses did you get the most out of while at the University of Texas? What was your favorite course?
Would you repeat that?
What courses did you get the most out of while at the University of Texas?
When I came to the university, I wouldn't say very much. I was ashamed to sit down and do an interview like this. But it was a guy at the university named Roosevelt Leaks who played for the Baltimore Colts after he got drafted. He played a long time. He asked me that I want to take an easy course, and I told him yes. He said, "Go over there and get in this speech class with me, man. It's real easy." So the first day of class, the lady says, the professor says, "Everybody, the alphabet's in the number letter C. I want you all to get up and that was me." And she said, "Wednesday, I want everybody to get up and give me about a 3-minute talk on what they want to do." And man, that was me, because my last name was Campbell. Roosevelt tricked me into doing this. It was a speech class. And I tried my best for 3 minutes to try to tell them how to be a fullback. And after class, she says, "Everybody's welcome to leave but Mr. Campbell over there." So she asked me, was I serious about taking this course, or was I just playing? And I said, "Well, I'm kind of serious." So that lady convinced me about why I majored in speech communication. And I'm so happy I did, because I learned how to look at people and how to stand up and talk to them like we're doing this morning. I learned that when I was in college, and I got a bachelor's degree in speech communication. In 1978, I came back to the university. I only needed like 12 hours. And when I graduated from college, it wasn't known that athletes do that. They just went into pro football or just played in college and done whatever. But I got a bachelor's degree in speech communication. That is the best gift that I ever got from college. So I treasure going to college, and I fell in love with learning and being able to give a speech, because that's all I do now is talk. And if I wasn't able to do that, I wouldn't be able to sell my product, the sausage. I wouldn't be able to sit and talk to you students this morning. So you're looking at a person that took advantage of getting an education in college and got a bachelor's degree from college as well.
Thank you very much for that question submitted in via the chat here. Let's go to Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. Did you guys get connected? We missed you the first time. We'll do one more shout out to you. Okay, well, they were connected earlier, so let's go to Art Academy at Summit here in Canton. Go ahead, Art Academy.
Hold on, there's one question over here. Hi. Shh.
Okay, so I heard something about your thighs are like 36 inches. Can you tell us about that?
Well, you're right. You've done some good homework. I grew up in Tyler, Texas, and my family was in the rose business. And up in Tyler, it's a lot of sand up there. But I was convinced that God gave me a talent that He didn't give anyone else, and He gave me a body that He didn't give anyone else. And I worked in the rose fields, but I wasn't like my other brothers and sisters. I had more. I would lay out in the field and look up and wonder how that airplane was up there. I was always dreaming about doing more. I didn't really want to. I only went to the rose fields to eat because my mother fixed lunch for everybody. But God gave me that body that He didn't give anybody else, and I'm a firm believer of that. And yes, I did have 36.5-inch thighs, and I worked a lot. I ran a lot of hills, and I trained very hard. I'm telling you, you will never see nobody or hear of nobody that wanted to be the best as better than I did, and I worked for it. So in saying that, I just believe that my body was a God-given body from God, and I just put a little bit in there and stirred it up and worked at it, and that's how I got those 36-inch thighs. People would stand on the side of me and say, "Gee, your legs are big as my waist." And people always made fun of my legs, but they only knew how hard I worked at it.
If you guys just go to YouTube and search Earl Campbell and just sit back and enjoy. And that's all I can say, because you see people bouncing off those 36.5-inch thighs left and right. But as he said, it just didn't. I mean, he had some natural gifts, as he said, God-given ability. But what did he do to make that into a Hall of Fame career? Because if he had just sat on his God-given ability and said, "Hey, I'm just going to do whatever," he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Again, it goes back to those core character qualities that you guys are talking about. Because ability will only take you so far. Your attitude, your trustworthiness, your respect, your responsibility, your caring, your fairness, all those things that you guys are studying, that's what's going to take you to the next level. So let's go to, it looks like about 7 minutes left. We go to a couple more questions and then ask Mr. Campbell for closing remarks. Let's go back to Seguin.
My name is Tyler Allman. My question for you is, what workouts did you do to get all those rushing yards?
Well, in Houston, there's something called a bayou. And a bayou is like water is down in the middle, and on the side of it is hills. So I would work out so hard running that hill, up, forward, back up. Anything Charlie Joyner did, I did. And we had a trainer by the name of a guy named Tom Williams. And he owned a pastry shop. That was his real job. But on the outside, he always hung around with those guys that wanted to work, and he had this schedule that he put you on and all this. So running a lot of hills and all kind of ways. I backed up that hill. I ran it forward. I did karaoke up that hill. And I do believe that all that made those legs even stronger.
And students, just so you know, I mean, that seems to be the very best. I mean, if you search Earl Campbell, if you search Walter Payton, if you search Jerry Rice, all of them are I don't know the proper word, infamous for their hill workouts. I mean, they all use the hill. So that seems to be the secret recipe, is the hill to getting that success on the field. Let's go to McGregor ISD. H. Isbell.
My question is for you. How do you want to be remembered?
It's a very good question. I think for a man that took care of his family, I mean, I don't think there's anything that I could have done in my life that I'm more proud of than taking care of my mom. When I grew up, we lived in a little 3-bedroom house that you could see the Big Dipper when you lay on your back. You turn on your side, you could see the ground. but it was our house. I mean, that was the best my mother could give us back then. And I remember my junior year, I went home and I was sitting on the porch with my mom, and I said, "Hey, Mom, you know, you should start looking around Tyler and looking for a house, because when I'm going to make it and I'm going to build you a big house." She says, "Oh, Earl, you don't have to do that." I said, "No, that's what this is all about." So I was so proud to, in 1978, 79, I said, "Hey, Mom, you picked that house out?" She said, "No, Earl, you don't have to build it." I said, "I got to build you that house." So at the summer of 1978, I believe, she picked out the house. I built it. And my mom lived there from the day to the day she died. And the month my mom died, because I put her on my expense account all those years, and she would get a check every month, but she didn't understand about the time to pay taxes. So if that check was late, she'd call me. So she'd call me every January. I said, "Mom, wait, we got to wait till the taxes and it's coming." But anything she wanted, I was able to do that for my mom. And I believe that's the proudest thing I've ever done in my life. And if you all happen to read up or know anything about me, you will find out that I'm big on family. And I would like to encourage you all to do the same, because I'm telling you, just as sure as y'all look at me and I'm sitting here, a lot of you all are sitting out there right now. Each one of you have the capabilities of doing that same thing for your parents. And just remember, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of discipline. I tell my children, don't be followers, be leaders. And you can do that. Because today's world, you have a chance to do more in life than our generation did, because we didn't have the computers and all that. I just was able to do so many great things in my life because of football, and because of the people I played with, the people I live with on a constant basis. I don't think there's no better gift than being able to take care of your mom and dad or your friends, somebody that was there in your corner, that raised you. And I know my mom's in heaven right now, and she's saying, "Oh, Earl, he can handle it. He knows how to do it." Because her and I had a great relationship. I wouldn't talk a lot about too much, but let's just get it done. Don't worry about it. I got it all figured out. You go get it. I'll pay the note, whatever. And I bought her a new Chrysler 300, I think that came out. She drove it for my sister drove her for about 2 years in the car, and my sister still drives the car now. But football you hear a lot of people say this, that everything I own, I owe a lot of it to pro football, and I know a lot of it to my education that I got in college. And I'm telling you, I was sitting just like you are one day and looking at somebody talk to me and Coach LaGuardia. So there's a whole world open for you all, and I hope that and pray that you take advantage of it.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end the program than what was just said there. Mr. Campbell, is there anything else that maybe you'd like to reiterate, or anything that you'd like to share that maybe we didn't talk about here today as we conclude the program?
I would like to say this. I had a chance to spend a day or two with Paula Dean. A day. We was on the cooking show together down in Houston. We was cooking something, and I was excited to meet Miss Paula Dean, and I'm sure that a lot of students know who that face is, but we had a great time together. But the one thing she was always questioning me about while I was in that room was, and we was meeting each other, and both of us have gray hair. And I wanted to find out if that was really her hair or was that a wig. Well, that's really her hair. So I'd like to ask the students this morning, do you all think my hair look okay? To the students, do you think my hair look good? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, well, thank you all very much, and I would like to say this too. You all are so fortunate to have people in your life, and I hope you respect your parents, respect your teachers, and if you don't know what your talent is already, get on your knees and ask God to help you to find out what your talent is, because He gave each one of us a different talent to be something very special in this world. So thank you all very much. I had a great time, and if y'all ever come down to Texas, come see me. We need some few good men and women down here, so y'all come on down.
Well, Mr. Campbell, on behalf of the Hall of Fame and all of our team here, thank you very much for taking time out of your day. Thanks to your son Christian as well, because Christian and I have been talking a lot back and forth over the past few months and getting this set up. So thanks to Christian,
Hey, Christian,
as well.
come in here, so the students.
Yeah, come on in,
Listen,
Christian.
students, now this my son. That's my son. He don't get in front of the camera too much. He doesn't like that. But I hope something was said this morning to the students that would just encourage them to let them know that don't worry. It'll be all right. I wish them all the best. So thank you all for listening to me. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. And